Hi everybody, my name is Danielle Nicole and welcome to Monetary Makeup. So guess what e.l.f. recently released? New putty blushes, but not just any, luminous putty blushes. So I picked up 3 different shades, and one of the shades I'm going to attempt to use as a bronzer. Now I'm actually a big fan of e.l.f.'s Putty Formula, so I'm so excited to test out this new luminous formula. So if you're excited to see how these new luminous putty blushes perform on my 30 plus oily dehydrated acne prone skin, and you enjoy the video while you're watching, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and let's get started right now. Alright, you guys know the drill. First, let's go over a couple of quick details about these new blushes. So each individual blush shade retails for $7 US, and you get 10 grams of product. The 3 different shades I picked up are Maui, Barbados, and Isla de Sol. Alright, it is swatch time. Alright, same order, Maui, Barbados, and Isla de Sol. Now a couple of quick notes. These blushes are the exact same size and packaging as their original putty blushes and their putty bronzers. Now when my e.l.f. package first arrived and I took these out of the box, when I flipped over to take a look at what the shades looked like before opening, I did notice that these blushes appeared to have shimmer or glitter in them. But when you actually swatch these blushes out, they don't appear to have any shimmer or glitter in them. So it's kind of interesting that once they are swatched out, they just look like they have a nice sheen. But taking a look at the product in the pot, it does look like there's shimmer. So that's kind of interesting. Now I am not a glitter or shimmer fan when it comes to blushes, but I do like luminosity, so we'll have to see. Now the last thing that I'll note is that in their original putty blush formula, they do have quite a few shades that are on the more brighter side, but with this new launch, this Isla de Sol shade was really the only one that appeared to be bright. But I'm actually most excited about the shade Maui because that appears to be a nice light to mid-tone cool pink. Alright, on this channel we are all about using products for a multi-purpose if we have the ability to. So first, let's get started with the shade Barbados as a bronzer. Alright, I am totally getting a vampire vibes because look at how fair I am. Alright, so as you can probably tell, the only thing I have on for base products so far is foundation, concealer, and powder. Now, you probably just did a double take because I mentioned that I already set my skin with powder, but that's because I do find this putty formula works beautifully over powder. Now, a couple of quick honorable mentions. Now, I'm actually not the biggest fan of e.l.f.'s eye brushes. I do find they are pretty picky, cheap, and uneven. Not all of them, but on a few of the ones that I've tried. However, these 2 complexion brushes are amazing. So this is the e.l.f. Putty Applicator brush. As you can see, the brush is on one end, and there's a scooper on the other. Now this brush does work great with their putty primers. However, I do find this brush works with many other cream or balm formulas as well. So I typically go in with this brush for any sort of cream product when I want a little bit more pigment and payoff. This is the e.l.f. Putty Blush Brush, which as you can see, it has nice tapered bristles. Now this brush is also wonderful for any sort of cream or balm formulas, especially blush, and I typically reach for this brush when I want a little bit more of a lighter finish. Alright Barbados, let's get started. For the forehead, let's start with the e.l.f. Putty Applicator brush. Now I understand that this formula has a luminous finish, so it may not end up working well for a bronzer, but you don't know till you try. Now the reason I love this brush is because you can do a buffing motion or you can simply stipple. I always have to hold my bangs back because they never want to stay. I am dipping in a couple of times just because I am going in with a light hand. Now e.l.f. does have one of their original putty blushes in the shade Bali, which I do find does work pretty good for a bronzer. Alright you guys, I do have to say I am enjoying this shade as a bronzer so far. It has a little bit of brown to it, and it almost looks like I got a touch of sun on the forehead. Alright, my bangs are looking hella funny, but I did want to keep them back, that way you can see what Barbados looks like on the forehead. So I want to see if I can use this shade as a bronzer also on the cheekbones. Might be a little bit too bright. I do quite like how it looks on the forehead though. I know we all need more cream bronzers, right? You know, for how deep this shade is, when you go in with a very light hand, these just melt so seamlessly into the skin, but they can definitely be built up. And I shouldn't even say that you have to build them up because I'm really dipping in with a light hand. All right, what do you guys think? No bronzer? Barbados. All right, so if you were trying to decide between the original Putty Blush in the shade Bali versus this new shade Barbados, I personally like Barbados much more. Now, even though Barbados has a little bit of luminosity to it, once on the skin, I'm really not noticing any of that shimmer or glitter, whatever it is inside here, and I think it really gave me a nice, healthy glow. Next shade, Maui. Next, let's go on with the Putty Blush Brush. Now, this shade was definitely calling my name, a nice, light, cool pink. I think I picked up a little bit too much product, so I'm just going to wipe a little bit on the back of my hand. Can always build up, but it's much harder to take away. This is almost my perfect cool tone blush shade. And see how quickly this brush blended this out? This is a wonderful brush. All right, next shade, I am sure I am mispronouncing it. I believe it is Isla de Sol, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Now I know this shade is going to be much more pigmented than Maui, so definitely going in with a light hand. It's a beautiful, most brightening orange tone. That is a beautiful orange blush if I ever saw one. So what do you guys think? Maui, Isla de Sol. All right, I'm going to even myself out a little bit. So I'm going to apply each blush to the opposite side. So just a little bit of Maui and a little bit of Isla de Sol on my left. So you guys, this is so interesting. I am not seeing any of that shimmer whatsoever on the cheekbones, and I also didn't notice it on the forehead. So it's just really interesting that when you look closely, you can see a little bit of shimmer in the pot. However, once applied to the skin, it just looks like a nice dewy finish. Wow, I absolutely love both of these shades. You guys let me know as of right now. Are you Team Maui or Team Isla de Sol? I feel like it just looks like I have a nice healthy glow, almost like I just got back from vacation, minus my pale skin of course. Alright you guys, so let's quickly chat about the old formula versus the new Luminous. So I'm finding that the original Putty Blushes as well as the Putty Bronzers, I don't have any of the Putty Blushes in front of me right now, but I'm finding that the formula is almost identical. So the only major difference I would say is that these new Luminous Putty Blushes, they definitely do leave a luminous finish. However, I don't find that they have any sort of a different formula. So if you were a fan of the original Putty Blushes, how they almost dry down to a powdery finish, I'm getting the same effect with these. So these blushes may be fantastic for folks who have oily skin. They like a little bit of a glow, but don't want any sort of sticky or tacky feeling to their blushes. So that is something I'm super excited about because I wasn't sure with these new Luminous blushes if they were going to be a different formula. They don't appear to be, other than the difference with Luminous versus pure matte finish. Alright you guys, I do have to say these e.l.f. Putty Blushes and their Putty Formula in general, it is hands down one of my favorite, especially for the summer. I find that this formula lasts all day. Alright you guys, well I am so excited to be adding these new blushes to my collection. I actually didn't have a ton of new cream blushes, so super excited to get some use out of these. So let us all know in the comments down below, have you picked up any of these new e.l.f. Luminous Putty Blushes? If you did, what shades did you pick up? Did you like them? Are you passing on these? Let us know all your thoughts down below. Alright, well I do hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye guys!